Hey guys, Knight here. The story I will be telling you is very sensitive. The name of this presence in the story should not be read aloud. I will not be saying the name aloud as I fear what could happen. The name will be flashed on the screen whenever mentioned. I need help. I used to have weird things happening when I was 14, but they went away after high school. I just don't know what it is. I am 25 years old now and feel comfortable telling the story. For years, this thing around me had gone away, but I was starting to have weird things happen to me again. Okay, let me explain. It all started when I was young. My grandmother was a psychic and she would tell me that something was around me. She told me the name of this presence is, but I don't like to say it out loud because if I do... Anyways, there's a thing that follows me around and it's not my guardian angel. It really messed me up when I was 14. I was with friends and we did a Ouija board. The planchette moved around the board in circles. "Is there someone with us?" they asked. I knew there was, that damn thing. The board moved to the S and began to spell out the creature's name. When I saw it, I pulled away in horror and started for the door. It shut right in my face as the board finished spelling it out. They said its name and immediately it responded with yes. "Stop!" I screamed and ran to the board to kick it. The board broke as my friends pulled their hands away and the planchette flew in the air. "What the hell?" one of them yelled. "Now we can't close the session, you dumbass." Another screamed in terror. That's when things went totally blank. I woke up strapped to a bed with belts in a hospital. My parents were next to me and came to hold me. They told me I had a mental breakdown at my friend's house and it would be okay. I was so confused. I told everyone I didn't remember anything and we had tried contacting the thing that followed me. Their response was to give me medication and they referred me up with a shrink. I begged them to tell me what had happened. My parents told me that I had tried to strangle one of my friends, and when they pulled me off of him, I screamed at them that I was going to kill each one of them and started clawing at their faces. The commotion woke up their parents and they flew up the stairs. They said my fingers were like claws and I actually tore the skin off their faces, and they claimed that I was going for my friend's eyes. They said my pupils were dilated and it looked like I was on drugs. My friend's father finally grabbed me and put me in a hold. I thrashed against him and finally not knowing what to do, he put me in a choker hold and I fell asleep. I was scared from that night to many. Following at first it was just a strange sound, a ticking like a clock, but loud and irregular. The first few nights I ran to my parents, but they didn't seem to care. They told me it was all in my head. One night the ticking was moving, getting closer to my bed. And that's when I felt something sharp like a knife move across my arm that was on the outside of my bed. My eyes darted open, my body shivering from the terror because there was nothing there, only silence. Then, tick, 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 tick. Then I felt a cold breath hit my ear, and the sound of a low growl in a breath. I pulled myself back in my bed, pulling my covers close and staring into the darkness before me. Slowly I reached for the light. The breathing was still there and heavier than before. My fingers found the lamp switch. I pushed it on and the light went on for a split second, and I saw it. It looked like a small version of a creature from Alien, but it had eyes, so many eyes. It screamed at me when I turned the light on, and I saw inside of its mouth was not teeth, but a black void. Its fingers were wrinkled, short, and skinny. After what seemed like the longest second in the world, my light burst into flames as the bulb shattered and I watched the creature scurry away. My parents ran in and put out the fire from the light bulb. They had asked what happened. Not wanting to deal with their scolding, I lied and told them that my lamp burst into flames on its own. But I knew now that the creature could do more than just stare. I knew what that ticking noise was. For a week I didn't hear or see him. I thought it was over and I thought I had scared him off, but I didn't. He came back and I heard the ticking noise. But this time, deep in the darkness, I could see a shadow of his pointy fingers ticking on my wall. I begged him one night to leave, but he just sat looking. One night I got desperate and bought a Ouija board and decided to contact the thing to tell it to stop. I sat in my bed and waited. With the lights off, I peered into the corner. It was a full moon when I did it, so I could have the light to be able to see the Ouija board. It said its name. Then I saw it walk over with its finger. It moved the glass planchette to yes. I can see you, and its finger hovered on yes. What do you want? The planchette moved to Y. O. U. Why? I asked, feeling tears. The planchette went to D. E. S. T. R. O. Y. Destroy. Why? I asked again, not understanding what he meant. D. E. S. T. R. O. Y. Then everything went black. I woke up in the hospital again and found my parents very worried. Looking down on my arms, I saw huge gashes in them. Apparently, I had tried to cut myself. I told them I swore I don't remember, but they didn't believe me. I asked them what I was doing when they found me. Apparently, I was in the living room, foaming at the mouth and screaming the name. Was going to come and kill everyone. They upped my medication and moved the date for my shrink visit to the next day. I told him it was the Ouija board and that I had contacted the thing. The shrink told me that I was very sick, and when they got the medication right, it would be better. When will that be? I asked. We're not sure. Could be tonight, could be next week. It may have something to do with your self-esteem. Oftentimes, a high school teenager experiences all kinds of odd things. It could also be that your brain is growing and having a hard time adjusting. We will figure it out. I had heard that too many times before, and that night, sure enough, I saw the damn creature in the corner ticking away. I almost felt like it was grinning, even though it couldn't. I was going to tell the shrink tomorrow it wasn't working, that it was real. I sat down looking at my shrink. It's real, I swear. My hands covered my face as his chair creaked back and forth as he listened. Last night I saw it again. The medications don't work and nothing is going to help. What happens when it gets to me again? What if I do something horrible? I started to cry. The creaking stopped. Try talking to it. Tell it you don't want it to hear anymore and tell it to leave. I sighed. That would never work, right? What else? I asked, looking for other ideas. Try sleeping with the light on, or sleeping with your covers over your head. You could also sleep in another room. The last idea seemed like a good one, and with my parents' help, I switched my room with my brother, who was not as excited about the idea. I was actually feeling hopeful that maybe for once it would be gone, or maybe my brother would see it and people would believe me. I curled up in my bed, constantly looking in the corner, but the creature was not there. I woke up to my parents shaking me awake, claiming I had seized, and I was trying to bite my own hand. That's when the pain of what I was doing hit me and I saw my hand gushing blood, and I looked around to find myself covered in blood. I was terrified. I was so scared of what was happening to me, I just honestly wanted to take my own life. At this point, my parents decided to give me a different form of help, the only thing that they think could work, a pastor of a local church that believed in evil spirits. We walked into the church, and when he saw me, he looked pale. A few church members were there, and they began to ask him what was wrong. This is no ordinary spirit. I dare not ask what it is, but it's straight from the bowels of hell. My parents felt awkward, but I think they were just hoping it would work and stop this crap. The pastor and a few church members began to pray over me in words that I could not understand. Something took over me and made me shake and yell. I swore at them, but it wasn't me. I don't remember much, just that I started hurting all over, like something was in me trying to push out of my skin. I cried that it hurt, and they asked me what its name was, and something made me say it. When I spoke those words, I was terrified. Saying the creature's name made it more powerful, and I began to say it over and over uncontrollably. The people around me held me down, and the pastor said its name calmly and told it that it was bound. My body fell limp. The pastor then took holy water and sprinkled it on my face, put oil in his hands and blessed me with peace, then told the creature he was not welcome to stay inside of me anymore. I felt intense peace and finally relief. I felt at peace in my room. I felt like the darkest week I had ever had was finally coming to an end, and I had true peace. A month later though, I started having dreams of it again. This time I began to see its full figure, and in my dreams it was chasing me, but would never catch up to me. I was terrified. I didn't want it to come back and come inside of me. I never told my parents I was too scared to. It was just a large shadow with a defined face. In the moonlight of my dreams, its eyes reflected and its mouth went open, swirled into a black hole. It always floated towards me and never using its feet, which were like its hands. The dream happened so frequently, I began to try new things to get away. But the entire time I was too afraid it would catch me. One night after years of running, it did. I was 17. When I woke up, I was terrified. I did something horrible. Nothing happened. But when I got to school, everything I did made me feel like it might be that creature. I ran to the church halfway through school, and when I got there I prayed. I'm not a religious man by any means, but I felt like it was one way to find peace. The pastor came over to me and saw me praying and said, "The creature has been bothering you again." "Yes. I don't know what to do. He keeps chasing me every night, but last night he finally caught me." The pastor came over and put his hands on me. "Lord, bless this child and let him be at peace. Send your angels to protect this child." I felt the peace again and thanked the pastor. When I got home, I looked up to my room to see the creature standing, looking down at me. My heart sank and my mouth instantly went dry. I began running and looked behind me to see him running toward me. This time it was real, his laugh like that of an insane patient. I ran as fast as my body would let me. I started screaming for help, but the creature got closer. He was closing in. I tripped, and when I did, I looked behind me to see him laughing as he stooped over me. I closed my eyes and felt nothing. I heard an incredibly strange and eerie sound of a sword coming out of a sheath, then the sound of a creature in pain. I opened my eyes and saw nothing. Only a police officer running over. "Son, are you okay?" he yelled. "The creature was running after me," I yelled, but he just looked at me strange. "Do you know English?" "What?" That's what I was speaking. "Yes. Did you see the green creature?" He gingerly walked close to me, then I lunged at him uncontrollably. He then tased me and I fell to the ground and blacked out. I woke up in a hospital bed, and next to me was the pastor and my parents. Apparently when I was at church, I was spouting nonsense and the pastor did pray for me, but when I left, I began running and screaming gibberish until a police officer started going my way. Then I lunged at him and he took me into custody. To this day, the doctors could never figure out what was wrong with me. They only could diagnose me with a simple psychosis. The pastor thinks I have something after me that wants me to keep me out of heaven, and my parents are just plain worried like me. After that day, I began to say a little prayer every night, so it has not entered my dreams, but it continues to try and get me to say its name aloud. I am now 25. A week ago, I was at a gas station to get a soda and a candy bar. When the clerk rang me up, I looked at his name tag and it had the name. I said it in my mind. Right then I knew I had made a mistake. The next morning I was reading the newspaper. I was interested in an article that I was reading aloud. It said, "Woman missing since last Friday. She belongs to a..." Oh no. The newspaper had a spelling error. I said the name aloud. It finally got me to say it.